Chapter 1, God. How is it possible that God always was? It seems to me that he must have started to be God at some time. The idea that God always existed and is always powerful and is in every place at once almost blows the mind. Of course, there is no perfect answer for this, but we can reach a certain understanding of God that will take some of the pressure off the mind. God has been called the necessary being because everything that we know of owes its existence to something else. There must be someone or something that does not owe its existence to something else. Therefore, we can arrive at the basic concept of the necessary being from which existence came forth. But it was not a receiver of existence itself. This basic concept can be stated simply: God is existence. Everything other than existence itself is a receiver of existence from the existence itself. Now, looking back at the question of how it is possible that God always was, we see that if God is existence, then it is obvious that God must not have had a beginning. The problem of how can God be all-powerful is solved because existence itself can give existence to something and take that existence back. There can be no greater power than that. Theologians tell us that God dwells in eternity, which is described as the ever-present. There is no time in eternity because time depends on something moving, and something moving depends on a space to move in. Existence has no requirement to move because any space into which we would move existence is already there, giving existence to the space. So if God is existence, it is only obvious that he is every place that exists. The idea God is existence reduces a number of mysteries into one grand mystery, the mystery of existence. What was existence doing a million trillion eons before he started to create anything? I imagine it must have been pretty boring for God to be just floating around out there someplace, being God to nothing. Of course, because God exists in eternity, there were no eons before he began to create. It seems probable that there never was a time when God did not create. The church used to say at Mass, "Thou dost always create." We can be safe in saying that before God created the things that we know about, that he was creating things that we do not know about. To God, all the things he has given existence to and all the things that he will give existence to are simultaneous, because in the ever-present, all things are known. Everything that God gives existence to are in him. God knows the future because he knows himself perfectly and consequently knows what he will give existence to in him. When God creates, he constantly recreates it moment to moment to keep it in existence. Creation is not like a carpenter who, after making a chair, leaves it to remain a chair. God constantly creates what he has created. The thought of God being alone is still a valid thought. We can imagine God before time and space, and it's disturbing. If God appeared on the TV show What's My Line, would he say his occupation is creating worlds and creatures to live in them? Many might be surprised to learn that the main occupation of God is the eternal generation of the Blessed Trinity and not creating things. So God can be perfectly happy and complete and in no way bored by being alone because he really isn't alone. The Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit only need each other and nothing else. Creating worlds and creatures to live in them is just a little sideline of God. His great work is the eternal generation of the Trinity.